Andre, everyone can see you. We're here on the Zoom. How's it going, man?
Perfect. It's great. Thank you for having me. Love to chat with you. So appreciate it. You're definitely right. We do get new features all the time. I just want to mention that these features are from the feedback that we get from our users. So it's really important. If you guys are enjoying Edgeful, if you're getting value from it, if you're passing your funded challenges using it, make sure to let us know what you like and what you don't like, or what your kind of wish list is, because we do take that into consideration. We do uh, drive the product based mostly on what the users actually like and dislike. So just one thing to keep in mind.
Cool, man.
But if it's cool, I can show you guys some of the new stuff that we're releasing.
Yeah,
Can I
dude,
share
go
my
for it.
screen?
Yeah, share it, man.
Or up
Hold
to
on, let me allow.
center
There
request.
you go.
Yeah. All right. Just let me know if you can see this now.
We can, sir.
Perfect. Perfect. Sizing wise, is it good? Can you see my screen okay? Like, is it big
Yeah,
enough?
how's that look for everybody on here? Pretty good, guys?
I hope so.
Yeah, I make it as big as possible. Hold on.
Perfect. So the main thing that we released it a couple weeks ago. It's called the What's in Play section. And this is what personally for me, I think that this is going to change the way that people use Edgeful. And it's because right now we have, if you go to the toolbox section, you go to all of our reports, we have over 100 reports now. And one of the
Wow.
things that comes with that, yeah, so we have a ton of reports, and what comes with that is people kind of get a little bit lost, and they're like, obviously we don't expect anyone to memorize all the reports to say like, oh well, this is setting up right now, and this is setting up over here, and that's setting up now, and this already set up, so I shouldn't be focusing on that. And we're only going to add more stuff in here. So we thought that the best solution to this like ever growing list of reports is to tell you guys when these things are setting up, so you know exactly what to focus on and what not to focus on too. And that's what the What's in Place section does. It's with live data. It will show you when certain reports are setting up and when they have already set up, so you should not focus on them anymore. So I'm just going to walk you guys through kind of how everything is laid out for now, and then I'm going to show you guys a bunch of the other updates that are coming out. We're going to redesign the entire site to make that user experience a lot better. I'm going to walk you guys through everything. It's not going to be too long, but it's very interesting. I would love to get your feedback
Take your
on
time,
how everything
man.
is
Take
laid
your
out.
time. We're here to listen. We love this stuff. We're a bunch of nerds here at Real Life
Perfect.
Trading.
Yeah, same. So good. Love to hear it. So the What's in Place section is right here at the top. So you can see there's the toolbox, which is traditional Edgeful, and then there's the What's in Play. It's still in beta. And the reason it's still in beta is we only have 4 reports in there now. We have the gap fill report. We have the opening range breakout, that orb. We have the initial bounce, and then we have the ADR report. We picked these 4 because these are some of the 4 most popular ones that we have. And we're waiting to hear from our users which reports they want us to add, and those reports will get priority. Eventually, all of the reports are going to be in here, but the ones that are requested are going to get that priority to get added.
Stop filled.
So there's actually 3 that we're adding in now, and one of them is the ICT opening retracement. So if you guys know that midnight open thing from ICT, I'm not sure if you guys trade ICT, but some of you might be familiar. The previous day's range is another one, and the outside days is another one that's coming in. So it will literally tell you how far. So let's just say for the gap fill, let's talk about the gap fill for a second. It will tell you, is there a gap up or a gap down? It will tell you whether the gap has filled, which in this case it did, so you don't want to focus on that anymore. Now, unfortunately, just with the timing of how the gap filled today, it already happened, so you're not going to see the way that it looks, but I'm going to show you guys what it would have looked like before. So you can see right here, this is the way that it would have looked like minus the price chart. And you can see it tells you there's a gap up. It tells you where your target is. So the previous session's closing price, it will tell you that. It will tell you the gap size. It will tell you how far away price is right now from the target, and this will be live. It will tell you that the gap is not filled yet. So this is in the morning, like before the gap fills. Obviously, it looks like this. It gives you your bias, which is really cool. So it will tell you whether to be bullish or bearish based on this setup. And then it will also tell you your edge, which we actually moved down here. So now that it's filled, we take all that information away. So there's no confusion on that this is not in play anymore. This is not a setup you want to look at. The gap is filled. You no longer want to trade the gap fill on NQ. So we're looking at NQ and we're looking at the New York session.
So interesting.
The last thing that yeah, and we're trying to do our best, and we're actually going to change this layout as well, but we're trying to do our best to make it as easy as possible for you to just open up your broker, open up Edgeful, and then you can see the highest probability setups just right in front of you, just like one after the other. So that's the intention behind this. And what we want to do is really make it so you can personalize your experience to like, I only want to see these setups. I want to see when they're forming. And if they're not forming, then I'm not going to take a trade. If they are forming, then I will take it. And allow you to go through and really like personalize this whole thing to where it's like completely based on you, your favorite setups, like your favorite tickers, etc. So
got it.
Any questions on that, anyone?
Guys, questions. Someone is like,
there's any questions?
Someone's like, what is Edgeful?
Yeah.
Edgeful is what you're looking at right now. But Andre's going to go over it. It's basically just like a data. It's a data app, you guys. Like it gives you all that data you always wanted to know, but like had no way of like compiling. It's just like, how would I figure that out? Like this does it for you. It studies.
Yeah. I'll actually walk through, for those of you who are not familiar, I'll walk through one of the reports. And one of the ones that is extremely popular, I'm going to go to ES. I'm going to go to this opening range breakout report. So what this report does is it checks the opening range, the first 15 minutes from 9:30 to 9:45. And it will, so here we're looking at ES, we're looking at the New York session, and we're looking at the last 6 months. And this report specifically will tell you how often does price just break the top side of the orb and not the bottom side, which is right here in the breakouts. How often will it break down and not to the top side, which is, again, 14% of the time. And then how often will it break both sides of that 15-minute range? And now on ES, you're looking at 70% of the time in the last 6 months.
Cool.
So the way that you use this is to say, so actually, I'm going to pull up my orb indicator. By the way, we have 30 completely custom TradingView indicators that are part of your subscription on Edgeful. The way that you can get them is you scroll down to any report. You see this TradingView little thing right here. Click Get Access Now, and it's going to ask for your TradingView username. You're going to go up to your TradingView. You're going to click on your profile button, and right here is going to be your TradingView username. You're going to put that in to this thing. You're going to click Get Access, and then you're going to see you're going to get all of our 30 completely custom indicators, and we release more every week. You can also request us to build one. You can also request us to build a report as well. So awesome. Sorry for that little tangent there. But just going back to that orb report, here's a great example. You can see right here, these two blue lines. I'll switch them to be red and green. Make this green. I will make this red so you guys can see. Price breaks out to the top side of the orb. There's a nice red candle. In my case, it's black, but I have my chart set up a little differently. So there's a nice downward bearish candle. And then now this is where you can say, I want to enter short, targeting the opposite side of the orb. So let me show you a couple other examples. This is like one of the ways that you can use these reports. This is an example of when price breaks only to the top side. So you can see after the orb is formed, it never touched this red line, this bottom side. So let's find an example of a clean double break here. This is a good one. We're looking at NQ, that's why I can't find them. All right, here. Perfect. So let me switch here, and we're going to show you a couple examples of price breaking both sides of the orb. Here's a great, very clean example on the 5-minute chart. The orb forms, breaks to the downside, nice rejection, buyer stepping in here. You can get long in this area, targeting this green line or that orb high. Pretty much the way that you use this report is to say, I want to wait for one side to break. I want to take the opposing trade, targeting the opposite side of the orb. This is just one out of literally 100 reports that we have. You can filter it by weekday. So if you click on this by weekday item here, you can go through and look at the different weekdays and how the odds change based on the weekdays. For example, Thursdays have over an 80% chance of touching both sides of the orb for ES. We also have some other things like the buy close, like where does price close relative to these levels? Like, does it close above the orb high? Does it close within the orb, or does it close below the orb low? So that's just a very quick example of what Edgeful is and what it does. I'll show you guys one more report that is like pretty different, and that is the market session correlation report. Now, this one is, let me hide my orb right there. By the way, this blue box that we have is the New York session, and this is our market sessions indicator. So what I'm going to do is I'm turning on my London session now, and let me show you guys how to use this. So
order filled.
What this report measures is the relationship between the London session and the New York session. You can see that in the last 6 months for ES, for every time the London session closed green, the New York session also closed green 71% of the time. For every time the London session closed red, the New York session closed red 63% of the time. So literally just looking at what happened in the London session will give you a very strong indication of what happens in New York. And I'll show you guys a couple examples. So here you can see this green box is a London session. This diagonal line goes from the open to the close. So if it's facing down, that's a red day. If it's facing up, that's a green day. You can see right here, London was red, New York was also red. London was green, New York was also green. Again, London was green, New York was green. It's not going to happen every single time. Right here, this was a day where London was red and New York was green. Right here again, London is green, New York is green. It is a very good way to get your bias for the day. So these are the types of reports that we have. I'll go over one more, and that is the market session breakout. Similar concept, checking the relationship between the New York and the London session, but now we're looking for how often the New York session breaks out of the London range. So what you can see here is that 80% of the time in the last 6 months for ES, price is only going to break out of one side of the London range in the New York session. Meaning, you can see right here, this is the London high, this is the London low. You can see right here, price broke out to the top side. And what you want to expect is price to not break out of the bottom side too. Because right here, the double break has only happened 12% of the time. It's not a high probability trade to take. So once price breaks out of one side, you want to have a bias in that direction. The no breaks are even less likely. So what that means is if we're opening in this area, or in between that London range, you want to absolutely expect the New York session to break out either to the top side or the bottom side, but just one single side. Does that make sense? Any questions? Yeah. So these are the types of things for the person who asked, what is Edgeful? These are the types of things that we measure. These are the types of things that we do. We also take report requests. So right now we have 100 reports. I would say 80% of them are by request, like things that we have not built. And the way that you can do that is you click this little support button on the bottom and you click this, build a custom report. And we also have, as I mentioned before, build a custom trading view indicator. One thing to note is that we do not have signals. We are not going to tell you when to buy, when to sell, when your stop loss, where your stop loss should be, where your profit target should be. We do not do that. We will never do that. We give you the information, we give you the edge, and then now you have to go and apply that to your strategy, apply that to your trading. And there's more than enough here to give you far more than you need to actually trade profitably. So right here, you have an 80% edge just on this one report. So it's one thing that I want to mention is don't request any reports or any indicators that will have a buy or sell signal. We will not do that. We will only measure things that are completely objective, black and white, like this example right here. How often does New York break out of the London range? So there's that. something else that I'll say is you only need 3 to 5 reports, realistically, like 5 reports that really click with you and your trading style for you to start to build a really nice, profitable system. You do not need 100 reports. And I actually would recommend looking through all them, but not really focusing on like more than 10, just because you might start to look for too many confluences in your trades. You really do not need that much. People overcomplicate trading a lot. It does not have to be as complicated as people make it seem. It is not this like scary, crazy thing. People just overcomplicate it because of like social media or whatever else. You only need 3 to 5, realistically like 5 reports to go off of. So I hope that answers your question for the person who asked, what is Edgeful? Some of the other, I'll just go back to the what's in play quick. Some of the other things that we have in here is the opening range breakout. So in this case, we're actually going to be adding. So right now, yeah, good, better. So you can go back up to 5 years. So you can pick any time frame. These are our shortcut time frames, but you can go back up to 5 years. And something else that's really nice is that the data updates every single day. So today, whether it breaks out to the top side, to the bottom side, or both, it will update the data. So when you're using Edgeful, the data will change pretty drastically over the course of like a few months. So just to address something that people do comment about is what they say is, well, why can't I just screenshot this and not sign up? Well, the reason is in 2 weeks, the data could be very different. In a month, the data could be very different. And the reason is that we use trailing periods. So we're using the trailing 6 months. So what that means is we add in a day and a day drops off. So as the market environments keep changing, the data is obviously going to change with it. So this allows you to see things in real time as they're happening, not in hindsight, like the way that most people will see it on a chart. So you'll see the data change as it's actually happening, as the market environment is shifting, because we have the most up-to-date information because it literally updates every day.
Stop filled. Order filled.
Any other questions on that? Okay, that's it. So you can go back up to 5 years, but one thing to keep in mind is within that 5-year period, there's a lot of ups and downs. So what I recommend is going to 1 year and then comparing it to the 6 month and the 3 month. 1 year will obviously have the biggest sample size. The 6 and 3 month will have obviously less information in it, but it's more recent and relevant information. So that's what I recommend always to see. Does the 1 year and the 6 and 3 month align? Because if they do, you can continue to hammer on this report. But if they are very different, like if the 3 month and 6 month is different, then you want to kind of take a step back and say, okay, well, the market environment's shifting a little bit. I'm going to take a step back. That's the way yeah. So there's that. So I'm curious, do you guys want to see, should I show some of the new stuff that's coming out? Perfect. All right. So I'm going to go here. Okay. So I'll just kind of walk you guys through some of the new stuff that's coming out. So in this new design, I'll show you guys first the new report page and what it'll look like. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. We'll make this a little bit bigger here. So this is going to be the new report page. We're doing a new colorway. We're changing some things around. It's not going to be a major change in terms of how everything is kind of laid out, but the experience is going to be a lot more personalized and a lot more custom. So in this case, this is going to be the gap fill report. So you're going to see just like the way you see now, the visual, like the chart example, the table, you're going to have your streaks here. So it'll tell you the last 5 gaps up. This one filled, not filled, etc. Same thing with gaps down. So you can see that recent view of like, okay, if the last 5 out of 5 gaps up filled, maybe you want to kind of take a step back because it's unlikely that these are going to continue to fill every single time. A little table with showing you the actual breakdown of each day that makes up these reports. So it's kind of like an extended streaks, a price chart, and then the explainer video, and then the explainer graph and like the explainer text is going to be down here. So very similar, very familiar experience. But what we're changing is the way that this sidebar is. So right now you have it at the top, you have it right up here. We're going to shift it over to the side. So it's a little bit more of a familiar experience. Like a lot of people shop and they have their inputs on the left. You have your size, your colors, your filters all to the left. We want to make that experience a little more familiar. So that's just the new report page. Now I'm going to take a step back here and focus on some of the other stuff, new features that we're coming out with. So here we have the bookmarks section. This is where you can bookmark reports and see them all in one place. So you can see, like, it's kind of like a dashboard style where you can see, for example, if you want to favorite your gap fill, your market open volume, green and red days by weekday, opening range, you can see everything in one place. Currently, you cannot do that on Edgeful, and you have to actually go through each report. This is going to make it a lot easier for you to open it up and see how the data is changing and kind of like have it up on your screens to see all your different setups. You'll be able to filter this on the side by price action, volume indicators, and also by scalper, day trader, and swing trader. And it'll just kind of like filter and move things around based on the filters that you have. We're also going to allow you to build a watch list on here. So right now, the way that you switch your tickers is you open this up and you have to go and like find the tickers that you want to look at. And right now you can't favorite or like build a watch list. We're going to change that. So you're going to have your watch list always on the sidebar. So anytime you're in a report or you're anywhere, you can just click on that sidebar and it'll change the ticker immediately. Even from SPY or Tesla to ES and NQ or Euro USD or whatever you trade, you'll be able to switch that out automatically. Then this is actually going to be, in my opinion, one of the biggest changes that we have for the new update. And it's going to be a report discovery page. So think about like you're on Amazon and you want to look through something. This page is going to be very similar to where you have your filters to the left. You can filter for price action, chart patterns, like report categories, and trading style. This is going to replace the report dropdown. So this whole dropdown right now is kind of hard for people to go and digest the information to see like, well, what's candle body ratio? This is a name that we have for this report. This is something that like we obviously like made up for the name. But the only way to kind of understand what it does is by clicking into it and scrolling down, looking at this, reading the text, and then watching the video. We want to make it a lot easier for people to go and like explore the reports. And that's what this page will allow you to do. So in a very e-commerce-like way, we want you to go through and look at these different reports like as if they're like t-shirts or clothing or sneakers, where you can see, okay, I see outside days, and you can kind of get a little view of what the report does based on the little explainer graph. But you can also click on the explainer button, which will bring this pop-up. And what you can see is that it will make obviously the image bigger, but it will also give you a one-sentence explainer of what the report does. And like, for example, this is the gap fill one, and it says it measures how often price touches the previous session's closing price. So does that interest you? Does it not interest you? You can add it to your bookmarks right here, and then you can go straight to the report from this pop-up. So if it doesn't interest you, you just click out of it, and then the report will go, the pop-up will go away. This will be a lot easier and a lot faster for you to kind of digest what these reports do and get a really quick feel for, is this something I'm interested in learning about? Yes or no? And you can go from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's
Anyone
really cool feature.
Yeah. And the bookmarking will help really personalize your experience. Like we're going to have this banner up here that says bookmark for best experience, because when you're on this report page right here, you will be able to just click and click and click to all your favorite reports. So right now, if you wanted to switch from gap fill to the opening range breakout, you can just click and it'll automatically switch. If you want to switch to the initial balance, you click and it switches. Right here, your watch list. If you want to look at SPY, it'll switch. If you want to look at ES, it'll switch. So like it'll become a lot more personalized to how you actually like what you want to focus on. And then like all the shortcuts will be there so you can quickly like move around. trading is a very fast-paced environment. Like you have to be on it. You have to be quick. Like you can't really be like sluggish when you're trading. And this is something that will allow you to kind of move around faster so you can switch things around as it's happening. Right here we have the book.
Andre, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
How the hell did you come up with all this, man? Are you like IQ of 150, 160? Like what's going on here, dude?
I
mean, you worked at Goldman Sachs, right? You got to be smart to do that. Give yourself some credit.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I worked at Goldman Sachs. I worked at a hedge fund. When you're surrounded with those types of people, like at a hedge fund, you're surrounded by MIT PhDs. They're like studying math, computer science, like they're wizards. And same thing at Goldman, like you're talking about wizards, like the best of the best, like across the board, like regardless if they're in the legal department, if they're in HR, if they're an analyst, if they're an MD, if they're a partner, it doesn't matter. They're the best of the best. And like it really shows you how much more you have, how much you're like kind of leaving on the table when you're surrounded by this type of like quality people. It's like people would be surprised, honestly, like what they're capable of if they like really, really tried. Like, yeah, I mean, people joke around like, oh, like you must be a robot. Like I was doing a stream a couple of weeks ago and they were like, oh yeah, you must be like some sort of robot. Like, how do you do this? And like, do you ever stop? Like, do you ever take a break? And my perspective on that is I'm young. I have this opportunity to build this company. Like people obviously really like it. Like I want to make sure that it's maximized. And like in the next 5 years, like I don't want to have any regrets on like, well, I could have pushed more. I could have been more innovative. I could have listened to my users more and like made this like a better product. Like, to be honest, we're not here to just be like another software company in the trading space. Like we're here to like become a staple in this space and something that everyone uses to actually make money. It's really important that becomes that standard of like Edgeful is the place where traders come to actually start to make money, because there's a lot of places, a lot of apps, a lot of tools that people use where people come in and they leave. And we don't want that to be us. We want this to be the place where you come as a new trader, you have your education, right, which is not going to be we're not going to teach you how to trade, but this is where it takes you to the next level of profitability, because we give you that information, that data, that edge that you would not otherwise get.
And can you just tell me what is an edge? Because a lot of people are like asking me that question, like, what's an edge?
Order filled.
Yeah. So an edge is just a positive expected value. So like over time, and not to like talk about like statistics, but it's literally just, will this make you money over time? So this is really important. If an example would be, if you have a coin and coin has two sides, so it's a 50-50 split, whether it's going to hit heads or tails. But imagine for every time you hit heads, you win $100. Every time you hit tails, you lose 50. That's a 2R. Technically, it's a 2R and a 50% win rate, which is extremely profitable. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get tails 5 or 10 times in a row. But you know that over the next 100 trades, you're going to make money because your winners are twice your losers and you win 50% of the time. So your winners will take care of themselves because your win rate is high enough and your winners are twice the size of your losers. An edge is just something that you know that over the course of time, this will be, your net return will be positive versus negative. For the most part, what people will do is just chase moves up and down as the market is moving up and down. And that has no edge. It has no edge because you don't have an actual system. You don't have any data to prove it. Yes, you will get lucky sometimes chasing momentum up and chasing momentum down. But an edge is when you have positive expected value over the course of the next 100 trades, over the course of the next 50 trades. And allowing that edge to play out is really important. And I'll make an analogy about basketball. For example, Steph Curry has a 90+% free throw hit rate. If you're going to bet on him hitting a free throw every single time, every time he goes to the line, and if you bet on it, you're going to make money over time because he's going to hit it 90% of the time over time. If he misses 2 in a row, it does not change the fact that his edge or his like win rate is still 90%. So you still want to keep betting on him to hit those shots because he has an edge technically. Like he's gonna make more than he misses. So it's really important that if your strategy is currently not working like this week, don't strategy hop and move around because it doesn't mean that it's not going to work over time. So it's really important. It's really important. Like, yes, you might blow up like one trade, like you might hit a max daily loss, maybe on your prop firm, maybe like your personal max daily losses, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to work the following week. Like nobody in the world has 100% win rate. Nobody in the world.
What I find too is people have a strategy, right? They know it works.
Yeah.
And they lose, but they don't even lose because the strategy failed. They lose because they made a human error or they broke their rules. But then they blame it on the strategy, right?
Yeah, exactly. And what's also important is that you don't size into your losers. So one thing that is a little bit counterintuitive is that typically people like to add to their losers because you're getting a discount, and they don't like to add to their winners where you're like paying a premium. So if you think about it like in terms of shopping, like let's just say you buy a t-shirt, or the t-shirt's listed at $50 and it goes down to 45, like we're like, oh, that's on sale. Or it goes down to 40, like, oh, that's on sale. Like now I want to buy it even more. But with trading, what happens is if you buy it at 50 and then it goes down to 40, like technically at this moment, you're wrong on the trade. So you don't want to buy again at 40 and average down because like you're technically not right yet on this trade. But if you go from 50 to 55, people are like, well, I just paid 50. I'm not going to pay more for it because we're wired to, like humans are wired for discounts, not to pay a premium. So it's very hard for people to add to their winners, which kind of in the comparison of winners versus losers makes it very, very difficult for people to make their winners bigger than their losers. So in an example, let's say you one contract on your winners and you're scared to add to your winner because you're averaging up, but you have no problem adding to your losers. So your losers get twice as big, even though you can catch a nice move on your winners, but you usually are averaging down so much on your losers that like it's impossible for your winners to take care of your losers. Does that make sense?
Yes. And that is very interesting to think about. That'll keep me up late tonight.
Yeah, it's averaging down is a very dangerous game.
For sure.
Because it makes it very, very difficult for you to over time make your winners larger than your losers, unless you keep your risk very tight and you're very disciplined with your risk. Like you mentioned, human error. Unless you're very disciplined with your risk and you're not going to move your stops and you're not going to do all these other things that will result in larger losses, I would recommend to add to winners and not to losers. So if you're wrong on the trade, just wait until you're at break even to add again. And yes, you'll be like, well, I could have added down there and I would have been made X amount more money. But that over time, you're probably going to lose more often than not by adding to a loser, which will make your losers bigger. So I hope that answers your question, kind of like what's an edge and some tips on how you can kind of like maintain that edge over time. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's I've spoken to probably like 1,500, maybe 2,000 traders now. And there's a lot of things that I've seen, like recurring patterns of adding to your losers, not being able to hold on to your winners. Trading the NQ too is a tough gig for a lot of people because they're not really willing to withstand the stop loss that they need to allow that trade to play out. And they'll get stopped out just for price to go into their favor. So like on NQ, realistically, it's tough to have $100 stop loss on one contract. Like it's practically impossible. Like you have to be a sniper with your entries. But people don't want to risk $500, $600, $1,000 per contract because it's just such a big dollar amount. And that's why for any beginner traders, I would actually recommend to move to ES because it's a little more palatable. It's a little bit easier to trade just because it doesn't move as violently and it's easier to afford a larger stop loss. Like a 5-point stop or an 8-point stop on ES is pretty reasonable. It's like a pretty good stop loss to have. and it doesn't cost you as much as it would for NQ.
For sure. Yeah. And I think, and, and it's different too, right? Like if you're trading on a prop firm, it's a lot easier to have a 500 or $1,000 dollar stop. But in your real account, yeah, like a $500 stop is scary for a lot of people, right?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. And that's per contract. So like you trade 4 or 5 contracts, like you're looking at a pretty decent daily loss. And it's just, I have seen that most traders have an easier time trading ES. So that's another piece of advice that I have is that's if you're a beginner, if you're struggling, I would recommend look at ES, not NQ. A lot of people also find that removing NQ from their screens helps too, just because you do have that like itch to trade it because you can make so much money trading it. It's just for a little bit more of an advanced trader. And one of the comparisons that I like to make is looking at imagine learning how to drive in a Jeep Grand Cherokee, right? It's like a regular car, it's a nice car, versus learning how to drive in like a Formula One car. So you want to learn how to drive the Jeep first, and then graduate to the Formula One car. And in my opinion, ES is the Jeep, and NQ is the Formula One car. Now they're both cars. Again, the same thing. They're both futures contracts. But the NQ is just way harder to trade. So what I would recommend is just to stick to ES. Now, obviously, you don't have to listen to me. Nobody has to listen to me. It's just my opinion. It doesn't matter. Do whatever you want. But this is like what I've seen.
Yeah, I'm going to get in the Formula One car. Sorry. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No, for sure. No, it's good. It's really good advice, man. Like this is amazing advice, guys, from someone that worked at a hedge fund. You need to listen to him.
Yeah. It is good advice, in my opinion, obviously. I'm a little bit biased, but it's I've just seen so many of the problems. Like I've talked to literally thousands of traders, and I like one-on-one calls. Like these are one-on-one calls. Like I've spoken to close to 2,000 people, and I've seen the issues and I've seen what the real problems are. And I've also helped a lot of these people. Like I've helped a massive amount of people with their trading because of the advice that I give them, because of the way that Edgeful has helped them, because of they actually like that light bulb moment goes out for them to say like, oh, well, this happens 70% of the time. I want to focus on this. This is actually gives me high probability trade to take rather than just kind of like chasing stuff around. So
for sure. Yeah. And that's really valuable. Yeah. Someone said Pelosi has a 100% win rate.
Yeah, that's
let's see here. Do you still have, this question was, do you still have time to trade if you're building this platform?
I used to have more time. I do not have time anymore, but I have been building an algorithm that has been working really nicely for me. So it does run by itself, like it's completely automated, which is really, really nice for me. I'm considering bringing it to Edgeful, kind of like on the fence about it. Like one day I think, okay, I'll do it. Another day I say maybe not. But I mean, is there anything else like that you want to cover? I mean, we have.
Yeah. I mean, I would love. What's coming next? I know you guys have even more things coming soon, right?
Yeah. So this what's in place section, the one that we have currently, is also going to be redesigned. And something that there's two other things that are not currently built at all that we're going to build. So one of them is we're going to redesign this to be a little bit more bite-sized, just so it doesn't require such a massive scroll. Because once we have like 20 of these, it's going to be a lot of scrolling. So we want to avoid that. So it's going to be more in these little like card tile types. So that will change. And again, these are subject to change, like based on feedback too. So if you guys have feedback on this, like obviously just let us know. And then there's going to be like an expanded, more detailed view of the same thing. So like, for example, for the gap fill, you can like expand up here. You can see the streaks, you can see the odds like right there. Something else that we're going to be doing too is right here. This is not built yet. It's related to the what's in play, and it's going to allow you to see multiple tickers at once. So let's say you trade Tesla, Nvidia, Microsoft, Meta, Apple, SPY, and QQQ. And you don't really care which one you're going to trade. Like I know a lot of options traders do that. They'll whatever's setting up, they'll kind of like pick and choose. But for this will allow you to see in an instant, like live, NQ is gapping up. Here's your target. ES is gapping down. Gold is gapping up. NVIDIA is doing this. Tesla's doing that. Meta's doing this. And you can see live, like, okay, this one's not in play anymore. This one's not in play. This one's in play. Like I can focus on Meta and NVIDIA because they haven't set up yet. But the other ones I can't look at because the setup has passed. I missed the setup. And you're going to be able to see it all on one screen. So you're going to be able to screen for different reports. So right here, you can see this is the gap fill one. You'll see it for the orb. You'll see it for all of the other ones that we have. And you'll be able to look at multiple tickers at the same time and see as they're setting up, like where's my target, where's my bias, how far away is the price right now. Everything will be on one screen. So that this screener is something that we're building actually now. And then this is also a huge request, completely separate from the other one, is can I look at multiple tickers for one report? So what that means is, let's say we're looking again at this, let's just say the opening range breakout. And you can see, I'll switch to the standard. You can see that for ES, 70% of the time it will double break. But instead of going through and changing to each ticker to see, okay, well, NQ has higher, NQ has lower, gold has higher or lower, what you'll be able to do is just filter for all, like you'll be able to sort and look at all the tickers for one report. So you can see that ES has the highest respected number, then NQ, then oil, then gold, et cetera. And you'll keep going down. So you'll know instantly that, for example, let's say Target, if you're trading stocks, like Target has the highest percentage for this report. So if you want to focus on trading Target options, you can do that and know that it has the highest probability over anything else for this report that you're looking at. So it's kind of like a screener for Edgeful. So you can just go through and kind of like look through everything at once. Does that make sense?
That's really cool. Man, I can't even comprehend. I mean, I'm not a coder, but like, how do we even get all this data? I don't know. It's just insane, man.
Yeah, honestly, the difficult part is trying to make it's trying to make it easy and intuitive. That's the hard.
Right. Yeah, because like to your point, like an MIT dude, but like most people are like, whoa, like I don't even know how to really read a graph that well, like a pie chart. You got to kind of like, I like that you have the explainer videos. Those are really helpful.
Yeah, those are really important. And just so for everyone who doesn't know what he's referring to, if you scroll down, every report has a video. They're at most 5 minutes. So I highly recommend watching them. It will tell you exactly what the report is measuring. It will tell you how you can apply it to your trading with a live chart example. So for example, like if I'm doing the market session correlation one, I'll literally show you how to set up your indicators, like how to do the customization so you can see the different settings, what the data is showing you, and then how you can take a trade based on this. So from beginning to end, you'll understand what the report does, what it's measuring, and how you can use it in 5 minutes or less. So anytime you come across a new report, I highly recommend scrolling down to the bottom and you're going to see it right here.
So cool, man. Yeah, someone asked, hey, is there any tools for the FX pairs? I think there are, right?
Yes. So right now we have stocks, Forex, crypto, and futures. So if you go to the Forex and you look, we have all the pairs. Everything is exactly the same. The data is from Awanda. For those of you, I know that Forex is like the Wild West. So the data is from Awanda. You can see all of the pairs here. All the same reports apply. Everything is just translated over. Same thing for crypto. If you're looking at crypto, we have a lot less tickers, obviously, because like we're not gonna have all the meme coins and everything else. We do have Doge. But same thing, you can look through all these for crypto, and then stocks will be the same. We have every stock you can imagine. And if we don't have anything, you can just request and we can get that added in. So yeah, I mean, any other questions?
Let me see. Any other questions, guys, for Andre has to go? His time is valuable. He's being such a generous host by being here. Anything else, guys? Last chance. There's like a 10-second delay. So,
No worries.
I may have been, you heard me, but I may have been muted to the YouTube channel when I explained the platinum strategy. So we're good, bro. Don't worry. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
no, I've talked about that for like 3 days in a row now, but I've told people it's not an official strategy. I'm still back testing it because I have a rule that like, and guys, this is a good rule, and this is what Edgeful's so great at, is it gives you the data from 2, 5 years, whatever you want. Whereas me, when I manually backtest something, I will literally go and do every setup for the last 2 years, you know, because I have to. Because it's like, if you backtrade something just like 3 months, like it might just be a lucky 3 months. You don't know.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
anyways,
exactly. It is important.
I always try to go back 2 years at least, sometimes more. But to your point, the market does change too every couple of years. So
it does, and it is it's a delicate dance to go back to get a bigger sample size.
Someone just said, "Will you be my friend?"
I will be your friend.
This is funny. He'll be your internet friend. But maybe at some point we'll go up to New York and we'll do a meetup, hang out with Andre. But he's a busy guy. All right, man. Well, we've had you for about an hour. I don't want to keep you too long. I know you're busy today. But
perfect.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Hopefully we do this again soon.
Dude, absolutely. Anytime.
Yeah.
We love it.
Good. We'll be in touch after this too.
Okay, bro. Sounds good. We'll talk soon.
Have a good one. Bye.
All right, bye, Andre.